The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
A few years back, I was investigating a strange occurrence. It wasn't at Owl Creek Bridge, but it ends just the same. For those of you not into Ambrose Bierce or The Twilight Zone, allow me to start again. A few years back, during the build to Captain Marvel, I began looking into a weird story about Disney allegedly buying up Captain Marvel tickets to inflate the numbers. At the time, there were naysayers. Of course there were. They had every right to be skeptical. Why would Disney ever do anything sketchy? They're the bastion of hope and morality and entertainment, right? Right? Let's look into a few Disney controversies before we dive into today's topic. It's a juicy one, so I hope you brought a towel. Disney's biggest controversies. Early Disney animators were hit with a strike. Walt Disney is usually portrayed as a kind and fatherly figure, but in 1941, the animators working for his studio viewed him in a much different light. Angry they hadn't received profit sharing after working on Snow White and feeling alienated by Disney lawyer Gunther Lessing, the animators were on the brink of taking action. The strike dragged on for 9 weeks before Disney gave in to pressure from his bank, federal mediators, and even his brother and business partner Roy. Bad blood from this Disney controversy remained, and many top animators left the studio in subsequent years. Disney pushed lemmings off a cliff and created a popular myth. Lemmings, the cute little rodents native to the tundra and open grasslands who have an undeserved reputation for running off a cliff in a suicidal mass. That mythical behavior got stuck in the public consciousness because of the 1958 nature film White Wilderness, part of the Walt Disney Studios' True Life Adventure series. The film captured lemmings leaping to their death, but in 1983, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation ignited a Disney controversy when it discovered that the scenes were faked. The creatures were purchased by Disney from Inuit children, and the lemmings were tossed off the cliff by the filmmaker who edited the footage to make it look like they had jumped off on their own. Other lemmings were filmed running on a snow-covered turntable to make it look like they were rushing around in a frenzy. The public was fooled by this staging, and lemmings still can't shake off their cliff-jumping reputation. Tigger accused of fondling a teen. Characters at Disney theme parks are known for their friendly hugs, but in 2004, a 13-year-old girl alleged that the park actor dressed as Tigger crossed the line. Her family pushed for battery and molestation charges, saying that Winnie the Pooh's buddy touched her inappropriately during a photo op. Singer Peggy Lee stiffed on Lady and the Tramp payments. The 1955 animated film Lady and the Tramp got a live-action remake in 2019, ditching the offensive We Are Siamese song, but the original movie sparked big controversies in the 1980s. Famed jazz singer Peggy Lee, who voiced the dog Peg, along with the cats Cy and Am, received only $4,500 for voice work and songwriting contributions. When the movie was released on VHS in 1987, the film made $90 million in profit for Disney. Lee asked for her share since her original contract stipulated that she'd be paid if Disney sold transcriptions of her work. Her lawyer argued that videocassettes fall under that language, and the jury agreed, awarding Lee $2.3 million. That one sounds kind of familiar. Daycare ordered to remove Disney characters from their walls. Disney cast members slaughtered birds at Discovery Island. Disney planned to portray slavery at theme park. Oh, hold on. In 1993, Disney announced plans for a new theme park in Haymarket, Virginia, a few miles from the site of the Civil War's first major battle. The park was supposed to have an archival focus covering the colonial period through 1945, which included the horrific history of American slavery. Michael Eisner, who was then Disney's chairman and CEO, tried to soften this controversy by stating that Imagineers would not shy away from addressing the uglier chapters in American history. Their approach to addressing slavery was never revealed, as plans for this massive park and its adjacent golf course, commercial space, and 2,000 homes were abandoned in 1994. The cancellation came after historians and other companies complained about the inappropriate portraying of slavery for entertainment value in a theme park setting. Southern Baptists boycotted Disney over gay days. Walt Disney World cast member forced to share underwear. Disney Quest Chicago shuts down after 2 years. Disney offered brown skin Maori costume on Halloween. Disney sued over deadly monorail crash. Princess Tiana used to pitch watermelon-flavored candy. Wave of animal deaths at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Alligator fatally attacked toddler at Grand Floridian Resort. Poor maintenance led to death on Big Thunder Mountain. Disney kept its Segway ban after disabled guests sued. The Magic Kingdom allowed alcohol after 50-year ban. Disney producer ignited firestorm over first Latina princess. Disney made the Muppets edgy. Disney tried to trademark Day of the Dead. Pixar's John Lasseter accused of sexual assault. Toy Story 4 Forky toy posed choking hazard. Spider-Man not allowed on young fans' gravestone. Talk about the happiest place on earth, right? So I just wanted to share this to shut up all the blind Disney loyalists. You people make me sick. It's always sunny in Philadelphia, and it's always fun to take a quick trip down memory lane to remember Disney for what they really are. A big, faceless corporation that doesn't give a shit about its employees or anyone. Allegedly. So for the last decade plus, superhero films have dominated the box office. If you look at the top 10 for the last 10 years, 5 of those films are superhero films from the good old MCU. It's been a decade of dominance, but the unstoppable force has finally been stopped, and it won't be Thanos, Galactus, or Pastepot Pete responsible for killing the MCU, but Disney themselves. Last week there was major news regarding Scarlett Johansson and her lawsuit against Disney over Black Widow payments, or a lack thereof. Let's take an updated look at this situation. Disney's response to Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow lawsuit is an example of the one thing no company should ever do. For fans, it was good news that, when Disney finally released Black Widow, it would be available on Disney Plus streaming service as well as in theaters. If you aren't up for venturing out to see a movie, or you can simply pay Disney $30 on top of your monthly subscription for what it calls Premiere Access, which allows you to see one of the most highly anticipated films of the year in your living room. It was great for Disney too, since having access to the latest blockbuster is no doubt motivation for people to sign up for Disney Plus. Considering that the company has generated $60 million from Premiere Access purchases, it's pretty good for Disney, considering that Disney CEO Bob Chapek and Executive Chairman Bob Iger have their bonuses tied to the success of Disney Plus. I'm sure they're pretty happy as well. On the other hand, judging by the lawsuit from Black Widow star Scarlett Johansson, the move wasn't good for any of the cast or production crew whose salary was largely based on the back-end deal. That's when a contract includes a smaller upfront payment in exchange for the opportunity to earn more money based on box office performance of a film. If there's no box office or it's limited by the other factors, there's not a lot left on the back end. Such was the case with Black Widow. Disney isn't the first studio to face backlash over this decision to release films on streaming alongside the theatrical release. Earlier this year, Warner Media CEO Jason Kilar said the studio would release its entire slate of movies on HBO Max for the first 30 days while they are in theaters. Christopher Nolan, whose film Tenet had been delayed because of the pandemic, was one of the most vocal critics of the move. Eventually, Warner Media ended up spending $200 million on renegotiated deals with talent in an effort to smooth things over. Johansson says she tried to renegotiate the terms of her deal in light of Disney's decision to modify its release of Black Widow, but the company didn't respond. If it's true that it ignored its leading actress on one of its flagship franchises, that would be a big enough problem. The blame reportedly lies with Chapek's inexperience and his failures to take Johansson's concerns seriously. Iger, who was Chapek's predecessor, was known for his ability to build relationships and is reportedly mortified on how Chapek has handled the situation. Of course, when Disney finally did respond, things only got worse. There is no merit whatsoever to this filing, the company said in a statement. The lawsuit is especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Disney didn't respond to Johansson's allegations that Disney ignored her attempts to renegotiate her deal, instead saying only that it has significantly enhanced Johansson's ability to earn additional compensation on top of the $20 million she had received to date. Look, reasonable people can disagree over how much money is enough for a filmmaker or movie star. It might be easy to think that everyone involved is just being greedy, so it really doesn't matter. Disney certainly seems to want us to think that Johansson is greedy and motivated by her own selfish interests. Maybe that's true, but honestly, that's not really what this is about. Looking at this from the outside, the thing that strikes me the most isn't just that Disney isn't keeping its word, which appears to be the case. What really strikes me is how poorly Disney seems to grasp how bad this is for its reputation. Sure, the lawsuit is bad, but the company's response is far worse. Here's why. More than any company on earth, Disney has carefully built a reputation as a magical place. That's the narrative that serves the foundation of everything it does. Movies, theme parks, television, toys, all of it rests on Disney's masterful storytelling. Sure, it's a business, but more than that, it's the home of beloved stories we all grew up with. And that is why they hook you. There it is, folks. Inc. Magazine. Thank you. That is the most insightful thing I've ever read from your publication. But let me jump back into the article and we'll continue the video. That's the reason Disney Plus is so successful in the first place. It's where you can go watch movies you loved your entire life and find a constant stream of new takes on those stories. In this case, however, Disney's response makes the company seem cold-hearted, callous, and vindictive. It peels back the curtain and reveals a much uglier story. The way you keep your promises to the people who work for you says a lot about whether you'll keep your promises you make to your customers. By lashing out at Johansson and using a pandemic in an attempt to shame her, Disney has essentially broken its promise not only to her, but to all of us. It's something no company should ever do. So it looks like shilling for Disney is no longer an Olympic sport. Take note, Collider. It's refreshing to hear everyone calling out Disney for their shit. This is important. But I'm all out of sympathy for an actor worth $165 million. But I'm opposed to a company who so brazenly rips off its employees. I'm a creator and I wouldn't want to be treated like that either. If Scarlett Johansson, the biggest female star in Hollywood, can get screwed over like this, who else has had their claims just snapped out of existence? More actors are coming out to tell their stories, just like Emma Stone. I can't imagine what it's like to be a fly on the wall at Disney right now. But God, I'd pay. So things are bad at the top with the actors, but things are worse at the bottom for the creators. The MCU, Disney's most valuable Infinity Stone, is built on the backs of men who receive very little credit for their contributions to society. Thankfully, my good friend Ethan Van Sciver gets credited for all his wonderful contributions to the DCEU. So if you enjoy films like the Snyder Cut of Justice League, or both Suicide Squad films, thank your good friend Uncle Ethan. He's the reason for the season. Hashtag thank you, Ethan. Hashtag Comicsgate. Hashtag make the world great again. Hashtag human sunbeam. Thank you. It's no secret that they, corporations, try to wring you dry in the comic business. That's why we've gone into business for ourselves. It's a great creative medium that's created some of the best pieces of fiction this side of Shakespeare, but when you find out how these guys are treated, it's hard to feel good about making mine Marvel. Marvel and DC face backlash over pay. They sent me a thank you note and $5,000. The movie made $1 billion. As comics giants make billions from their storylines and characters, writers and artists are speaking out about their struggles for fair payment. Watch any superhero movie and you will see a credit along the lines of based on the comic book created by, usually with the name of a beloved and or long dead writer or artist. But deep in the credits scroll, you will also see special thanks with a long roster of comic book talent, most of them still alive, whose work formed the skeleton and musculature of the movie you just watched. Scenes storyboarded directly from Batman comics by Frank Miller, character arcs from Thor comics by Walt Simonson, entire franchises such as Avengers films or Disney Plus spin-off The Falcon and Winter Soldier that couldn't exist without the likes of Kurt Busiek or Ed Brubaker. And again, don't forget works like Suicide Squad, thanks to our good friend Uncle Ethan Van Sciver. The two big comic companies, Marvel and DC, may pretend they've tapped into some timeless part of the human psyche with characters such as Superman and the Incredible Hulk, but the truth is that most of their popular stories have been carefully stewarded through the decades by individual artists and writers. But how much of, say, the Marvel Cinematic Universe's MCU $20 billion plus box office gross went to those who created the stories and characters in it? How are the unknown faces behind their biggest successes treated? Well, if you're Uncle Ethan Van Sciver, very well. But then again, he created the Suicide Squad. Thank you, Ethan. Not well, according to Ed Brubaker, who, with Steve Epting, revived Captain America's sidekick Bucky Barnes to create the Winter Soldier, portrayed by Sebastian Stan in Marvel's films and shows. For the most part, all Steve and I have got for creating the Winter Soldier and his storyline is a thanks, here or there. Over the years, that's become harder and harder to live with, Brubaker recently wrote in a newsletter. I have a great life as a writer, and so much of it because of Cap and the Winter Soldier, bringing so many readers to my other work, he added. But I also can't deny feeling a bit sick to my stomach sometimes when my inbox fills up with people wanting comments on the show. Marvel told The Guardian it had to decline comment out of respect for the privacy of Brubaker and Epting's personal conversations with the company. Comic creators are work for hire, so the companies they work for owe them nothing beyond the flat fee and royalty payments. But Marvel and DC also incentivize popular creators to stay on with the promise of steady work and what they call equity, a tiny share of the profits, should a character they create or a storyline they write become fodder for films, shows, or merch. For some creators, work they did decades ago is providing vital income now as films bring their comics to a bigger audience. They reason, and the company seems to agree, it's only fair to pay them more. DC has a boilerplate internal contract, which The Guardian has seen, which guarantees payments to creators when their characters are used. Marvel contracts are similar, according to two sources with the knowledge of them, but harder to find. Some Marvel creators did not even know they existed. A Marvel spokesperson said there were no restrictions on when a creator could approach the company about contracts, and they said they are having ongoing conversations with writers and artists pertaining to both recent and past works. A DC spokesman did not return multiple requests for a comment. The squeaky wheel gets the grease here, says Jim Starlin, who created Thanos. Starlin renegotiated a bigger payout after arguing that Marvel had underpaid him for its use of Thanos as the big bad of the MCU. Prolific Marvel writer Roy Thomas got his name added to the credits of the Disney Plus series Loki after his agent made a fuss. But these are creators that Marvel needs to keep happy. Things can go very differently if nobody cares when you complain. Now, I'm going to stop there because this article wants to talk about how Ta-Nehisi Coates has been mistreated. But Ta-Nehisi Coates, you've mistreated some of our favorite characters. And brother, I'm the same skin color, so don't try to pull that shit with me. Now, this article goes on to excruciatingly detailed lengths about Superman's creators, Siegel and Schuster, being screwed over. Thankfully, Neil Adams helped them out back in the 70s. But long story short, comic book creators have not been treated well, and Disney coming in and buying them up ain't doing much better. You see folks at the top, they're fucking Scarlett Johansson. I know we all wish we were, but they're doing it in a different way. And here, the guys that create Winter Soldier and help make Captain America relevant. Look, Captain America wasn't that popular not too long ago. Please, could we stop fucking acting like every MCU character that's popular now has been popular nonstop? So many of these characters that everyone has claimed to love forever, the version that most people love, come from these guys. They deserve more. It's kind of shitty that they come in, they inject life into Captain America. No one gave a shit about Captain America through the 90s, a good chunk of the early 2000s. He didn't matter until the Winter Soldier story arc popped up. A lot could be said about Iron Man and Thor, all these big MCU characters. Folks, the biggest comic book characters that we had growing up were Batman, Spider-Man, and the X-Men. And guess what? X-Men isn't even part of the MCU yet. They're gonna fuck that one up royally, but holy shit, you gotta think the contracts that are going on behind the scenes for the X-Men films. Everything I read about how they treat the comic book arm of their business makes me cringe. And I'm at a crossroads. I want them to feel the pain for what they've done to our favorite characters, but a lot of these creators are just hired guns. And it's really hard to take pleasure in hearing about how a creator like, I don't know, Bill Mantlo wasn't getting that much money, so somebody like Bradley Cooper had to step in and help with his medical treatments. That shouldn't be the case. I get it. Not everyone gives a shit about these guys, but if you're out there buying a Groot action figure or a Rocket Raccoon doll, these guys deserve a cut. All of them. Ugly is not a strong enough word. This whole thing stinks to high heaven. As more and more information comes out about just how poorly these creators, employees, and actors are treated, the public perception of Disney is changing. We've seen them shun actors for political views very openly, but when the truth comes out about their business shortcomings, they like to keep things a little quiet. The pandemic made Disney eat shit, and with the looming closures of their parks again, on top of the multiple new lawsuits, we may have seen the end for this era of Disney, where they buy things with reckless abandon on this quest to catch them all. But instead of Pokemon, they're billion-dollar IPs, and once they buy them all up, we're fucked. If only there was a force powerful enough to stop them. Oh wait, there is. Disney. Disney's greed and desire to get one over on an actor was the straw that broke the camel's back. All eyes are on Disney, and Disney isn't ready. So folks, what do you think about this? I'm not shocked. I called it with Star Wars. I called it with the way they did business with Lucasfilm and how the comic books have been going and the merchandise deals and all of this stuff. But like the article said earlier, Disney has goodwill because they made the shit you grew up with. Please take your head out of your asses for a moment and realize something. Disney, we're not stupid. We can see through your bullshit. It's just offensive that you're trying to pull one over. And you know, we talk about reciprocity on this channel. Maybe you've never heard about it because it's something I talked about in college, but it's basically giving back. When I hear stories about the kids from School of Rock having issues, what happens? Jack Black himself goes and tries to help those kids out. When I heard stories about the kids from the Mighty Ducks, Goldberg having a problem, did Disney do anything, this billion-dollar corporation? No, fans raised money to give him new teeth and help him get clean. Now, I understand those are two small anecdotal stories, but all this goodwill, all this stuff that makes you feel so happy, Disney's not doing. You're watching a movie 30 years ago in some cases. It made you feel good, you remember it, it still makes you happy. But all the people that got screwed over in the process or weren't treated right, hey, you love Disney films? You want to support Disney Plus? Are you going to go watch them kill animals? I mean, that's proof. That's documented proof. That's not me being angry over a Star Wars movie. This is a company that made a movie where they kill a creature and then a whole industry about lemmings. It's a fucking thing. It's a myth. So that game you've been playing for years, folks, based on a Disney myth. I wonder if Disney gets a royalty of that. I bet you they saw that game internally and were like, we could get a cut of this because we created that lemmings myth, but yeah, they probably don't want to admit, they don't want to cop to killing innocent creatures for money. Won't look too good, will it, Walt? Well, Walt was alive at this point. Yeah, I don't give a shit. So folks, I'm gonna go. This is a long video, but you guys like them that way, so guess what? We gave it to you the way you want. I will be in Las Vegas tomorrow, Thursday. Well, today when you hear this video. So come find me. I'm gonna be having a surprise giveaway package to the first person that recognizes me in public. Be cool. It'll be an awesome surprise. It's some bonus stealing solo stuff and a few things that weren't available on campaigns, like an autographed trading card, etc. Yeah, find me, get a set of trading cards, and go get them autographed by your favorite creators. This is your one opportunity to get so many people in the same room and make that happen. So folks, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get ready for Las Vegas. I don't even know where the hell I'm staying at, so maybe you'll find me on the Strip. You find me on the desert. Maybe we'll go out to the Bunny Ranch. Who knows? But find me. Let's party. This is the first time we're able to get together in, God, over a year, and we're going to do it right. And after that, if you're in the Midwest, come to Horror Hound September 10th through the 12th in Cincinnati, Ohio at the Sharonville Convention Center. You can meet us, hang out with us. See, when we do World Class Bullshitters, when we do a meetup, we don't just do like, hey, let's meet up at this place and talk. You come to us, we hang out with you for as long as you want, and we usually bring some beer if you're of age. So come hang out with us in Cincinnati. It's going to be a party. It's going to be a blast. It'll be our 4th Horror Hound overall. We got people coming from all over the country to hang out, spending their anniversaries with us. This is a big deal. So be a part of it. Also, too, we will have some surprises at Horror Hound, aka our first merch store. So finally get yourself a WCBS t-shirt and wear it to the show. But all the updates will be available in our videos, in our live streams. We go live Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Tuesdays at 9 p.m., Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. for World Class Bullshitters. This week, episode 277. We've been at this for 5 years, folks, and we ain't stopping. New energy has been injected into this channel, and a new opportunity. So I went across the country over the summer, packed up my office, and I'm building it out here for a WCBS studio because we have some cool things on the horizon. So be on the lookout for that. Sign up for Wokebusters. That link will be ready in 2 weeks. And don't miss out on that comic. And check your mailboxes, folks, because Stealing Solo is on its way. Got the books, taking care of business, and they'll be out to you. I will do some live streams to let you see everything. We'll have some fun. This is a community effort. The Fandom Menace, we hit it big. Stealing Solo made it into the 6-figure territory with its campaign, so thank you. All right, folks, enough talk. I've been away for too long, and now it's just verbal diarrhea because I'm excited. So from all of us here at the channel, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.